Hello everyone, Kent.Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org. Hello everyone, this is Kent.Bressler coming to you from Kerrville, Texas with Kent's Kidney Stories, and it's a division of kidneysolutions.org, and we're just really happy that you're coming on to listen to us today. And we have a great guest speaker, and we're going to get started. So, as we always do, let's pray. Heavenly Father, everywhere we walk, let it be on your path. Everything we see, let it be through your eyes. Everything that we do, let it be your will. For every hardship we face, let us place it in your hands. Every emotion we feel, let it be your spirit moving in us. Everything that we seek, let us find it in your love. My dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We will not ask where we are going, but only to know and feel in the depths of our hearts and souls that you are with us. You are guiding us and that we are safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So it's a good day at Kidney Solutions today. I want to let everyone know that it's a great morning for the Mary Vela family in San Antonio at Methodist Transplant Hospital. Mary is undergoing a life-saving transplant this morning, compliments of a donation from her son, Frank. Praise God, will his blessings never cease. Prayers headed up this morning for family and the transplant team. And Mary, when you listen to this, I know you're going to be in really good shape. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to follow you, and you're going to have a wonderful life, and you're going to feel so much better. All right. Given that, my guest today is Dr. Alan Davidoff. He's the CEO of XORTX Therapeutics in San Diego. What a wonderful city. XORTX is a biotechnology company exploring new therapies for kidney disease. Of great interest to me in their research is into the threatening disorder called autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease, which we fondly call in the circles in the kidney community PKD. I have a lot of very close friends who have PKD, and we're having a lot of transplants through Kidney Solutions for people with PKD. We found out about Dr. Davidoff through Robert Haney, a biology professor and science communicator. He found and listened to one of our podcasts on Kent's Kidney Stories, so thank you very much for introducing us, Rob. Good morning, Dr. Davidoff. How are you?
Good morning, Kent. Very nice to meet you and for the first time and speak with your listeners.
Well, I'll tell you what. This whole process that you go through is, I don't know, my background, I was transplanted 35 years ago, so been in the kidney community for many years. I have FSGS, but this whole idea of is taking off with PKD, especially the autosomal portion of PKD. It's really interesting how all of this transpires. And the origin of the company name has got me intrigued, XORTX. So at best, it's unique. Can you explain how that you arrived at that?
Yeah, it's a longer story, but I'll try and keep it short enough. So the name is XORTX, XORTX. It's in all capital letters because it's an acronym for xanthine oxidase reducing technologies. And the reason why we chose the name, really, is based on a number of discoveries that started happening in the early 2000s, but are now coming to fruition in a number of diseases, especially the kidney disease space. This enzyme is critical for us to stay alive. It breaks down proteins and DNA in our circulation when it's in excess to create uric acid for excretion. So important in health. But what's been discovered is in the case of diseases, especially diseases that are accelerating, diabetic nephropathy, autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease, and is implicated in other diseases, this enzyme starts to act in the tissue. It creates free oxygen radicals. It creates uric acid in the system. And so developing the drugs, the tools to turn off that harmful effect of that enzyme really is the key impetus for this company.
So, PKD is considered a rare kidney disease, and you've been, I think, chasing it for a good while. How many years have you been working in the field?
Well, we made our first discoveries and wrote our first patents in 2015. So we're 7 years into the process, making great progress and making new discoveries in the space. So it's been a while, but we see a lot of parallels with the acceleration of the disease and high levels of xanthine oxidase expression and uric acid expression. So we think our tools to inhibit the enzyme are key in this disease.
I read in the on your website and also talked with some folks about this novel formulator that you're talking about. It's called what, XRX-008? Is that the enzyme that we're talking about?
So that's that is the drug development program. What we're developing is a drug called oxypurinol. We have improved its availability to the body. So when you take a single pill every day, the amount that you'd like in circulation would be the amount that inhibits the enzyme by about 90% or so, the xanthine oxidase enzyme. So we're providing a xanthine oxidase inhibitor drug, oxypurinol, in a new formulation that substantially improves our ability to dose at a range where we can turn that enzyme off and get the maximum or optimum benefit of this approach, this therapeutic approach.
There are other drugs, quote, coming in the market, entering the market in PKD research. How does this particular stimulator or formulator, how does it compare? Is it, when I hear you say 1 pill a day, that strikes my interest. I think that's really a good deal, right?
Yeah. So there is in the polycystic kidney disease space, which represents about 5% of all individuals who have progressing kidney disease and about 10% of all individuals on dialysis. This disease progresses in a way that seems to increase the expression of xanthine oxidase and increase uric acid even early in the disease process, no matter which mutation leads to the initiation of the disease. And so that accelerating effect, we think therapeutically needs to be turned down in concept. And there are clinical studies in several kidney diseases where this approach has shown real benefit. We think this approach, by turning off or turning down that enzyme, will slow progression and keep people off of dialysis. So the polycystic kidney disease population is particularly interesting because high uric acid is a characteristic of the disease by time one gets to stage 3 or so in progression. And remember, there's 5 stages. Right. Stage 1 being the very initial stages, 2 being mild, 3 being moderate, 4 being severe, and then 5 dialysis.
Right.
So
transplant. Yeah.
Or transplant. Yeah, hopefully transplant, because that is, the best, certainly the best solution for most individuals. So we see, there's observational studies that show uric acid is very high by time in half of individuals in stage 3. in 90% of individuals with stage 4. So removing that accelerating effect, slowing the progression and turning the disease into a modifiable disease that keeps people off of dialysis for years is really important, because half of individuals lose their kidneys to polycystic kidney disease by age 53 to 57.
Yes.
I think the average is 55. So if we can intervene, we think we have a therapy that can redefine how kidney disease for these individuals is treated.
This polycystic kidney disease, and I'm not an expert on it, but I can tell you that the friends that I've had, they suffer with it. And a lot of the times the progression is, it's not predictable, first of all. And second of all, they have a hard time. And a lot of them end up going into dialysis. And in our case, we like to think it'd be nicer to do transplant first, but this even slows down the process totally. I wanted to ask you about uric acid. You know, when you talk uric acid, in my mind, you're talking gout. You know, isn't that true? When you think of it, most people say, oh no, they got gout. So high uric acid levels would equate with gout. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So there are lots of people that have high uric acid levels that don't have gout. Gout happens when there are saturating amounts of uric acid in your joints. You know, typically it's the joint of your big toe.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to have only one gout attack, but it's painful. The inflammation, the pain, you honestly feel like you're going to die, and it's ridiculous because it's just your big toe, but it is painful. So for individuals, who have repeated gout attacks or otherwise, it's a big issue. Now, there is substantial new evidence coming out showing that you don't need saturating levels to start to harm your cardiovascular system and your kidneys.
Absolutely.
You just need to be above the normal range, which is about 3 to 6 milligrams per deciliter. So once you get above 6 to 8, there are already cardiovascular injuries accumulating that are going to affect you. The studies suggest are going to affect you for your future. When you get above 8 milligrams per deciliter, that's where you really start to see the gout attacks occur, serious acute kidney injury, because crystals are forming in your blood and in your big toe, finger joints, under your skin, etc. And so that, the impetus to lower uric acid at that point becomes critical. And let's not forget that rheumatoid arthritis and systemic inflammation, weight gain, etc., are all associated to higher uric acid levels. So it's a feedback loop you're best to avoid.
Right. I've had it in almost every joint over my career with kidney disease. But my point is that a lot of people may pass this off as not being kidney related, this uric acid, but it sure is, and you're proving it with your inhibitors or your enzyme.
Yeah, it really is, and we can really look to the giants in the field that have shown, beginning in the early 2000s, the importance of uric acid in driving disease, the health consequences, if you will. There were animal discoveries by Dr. Johnson at the University of Colorado now showing an association with higher uric acids and weight gain, pre-diabetes, so insulin resistance, hypertension, high blood pressure. The things you look at as pre-diabetes and then diabetes, and all of the health consequences of diabetes. So yes, very important discoveries. We're the benefactor of that. We continue to work with Dr. Johnson and a number of other experts in this space to, really define and grow the company in terms of where we're looking and what we think we can do to help individuals with progressing kidney disease. But going back to your polycystic kidney disease question previously, the abdominal pain that happens when an individual's kidney goes from fist size in their 20s to the size of a cantaloupe in their mid-30s, and then the size of a American football or a soccer ball in their late 40s and 50s, causes tremendous abdominal pain, which is a reminder of the progressing disease. And kidney stones are substantially increased in individuals with polycystic kidney disease, which is another very painful and injurious side effect or comorbidity of polycystic kidney disease. So lowering uric acid potentially can help those two major symptoms of the disease as well.
You're seeing that in your studies, are you not? I mean, that it is actually slowing the progress, or it does. Yeah, explain that a little bit about that. Talk about that.
Right. So we conducted with a PKD expert at the University of Colorado, Dr. Charles Edelstein, some key experiments. The first was really to look at the kidneys of mice and rats that have polycystic kidney disease and start to identify whether or not the xanthine oxidase enzyme is expressed, overexpressed. Is there evidence that there is a deleterious effect happening? And we saw for the very first time, and reported this last November at the American Society of Nephrology meetings, that the enzyme is overexpressed in these kidneys. It has, since about 2015, been associated with larger kidney volumes and larger and more rapid progression of disease. And so in these mouse and rat models, we raised uric acid. We saw that this accelerates the expansion of kidneys, and it accelerates the accumulation of creatinine, which is a marker of declining kidney function.
Yeah.
So both structural and functional changes can be accelerated when uric acid is raised. And then we used our drug to turn off that effect, and we saw the reversal of that effect. So those key findings really do give us the confidence that we're on the right track, and that sets up very nicely our orphan drug designation application with the FDA. But it also sets us up for a phase 3 trial that we're looking to start in the second half of this year.
That was my next question. Where are we with the progression of the research? So you're looking at a phase 3.
Right. So, when a company such as ours gets to late stage, there are often many drug development partners that are interested in programs such as this. The alignment of the basic animal studies and what's been reported in human studies, and there's a nice phase 2 study that hints at a substantial benefit well beyond what the FDA needs to approve. And so we're in a great position in terms of starting that phase 3 trial. We are speaking with the FDA very shortly to discuss an accelerated approach that would potentially lead to a therapy in the 2025-2026 period after a short phase 3 study. So that's also very encouraging, because to date, we've used the oxypurinol molecule because the FDA has reviewed it repeatedly. It was filed by a part of our team in the early 2000s as a replacement for allopurinol. So the FDA knows the drug well, gave it an approvable letter. And so we de-risked our programs right from the beginning because we know this drug is eminently approvable. We think it's ideally suited for this polycystic kidney disease indication, probably for diabetic nephropathy too. But for polycystic kidney disease, we're moving very quickly through our regulatory discussions and finalizing the protocol with the FDA in order to be able to start that phase 3 trial.
You know what? My heart's just beating real fast now. I got to slow it down, because I look at all of the things that have gone on in kidney disease, and I've had it for over 50 years. And now just the acceleration of these research projects. You drive hard as you can, Dr. Davidoff. This is meaningful work, and trust me, it's going to save a lot of lives. It's going to make a lot of people much better off. All right. And if they can avoid dialysis, and that's even better. All right. And give them a better chance to find a living donor. There's all kinds of good sides to this. And so what can the kidney community do to help you forward this? What is it that we can do?
Well, we certainly are working to be more and more engaged with the kidney community. We do work with the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation in the States. We do have contacts with the diabetes and the kidney disease community, academics from a patient standpoint. We're a company that is publicly traded on NASDAQ. We are moving forward to the best of our ability with our finances and with our staff, and really working to bring to bear the expertise that we have to move this forward. As we go forward, if there is interest in participating in our clinical trials, you can certainly reach out to the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation or the Diabetes Foundation. These are both great foundations that help people and drive not only our work but others' work. And when one looks at helping the nearly 30 million people in the U.S. with progressive kidney disease, these are really key times, like you point out. And I think working with those foundations and driving good companies forward is really key.
We spent a lot of time in Washington last week talking about funding, and it's a great need. And I think NIH looks at $15 million we're trying to push that number. But for kidney disease, it's not 15, it's 4.5. Kidney disease research dollars have been minimized throughout my lifetime, but that's changing. We're not asking for any more. We're just asking for a fair share because of things like you guys are doing. All right, you and several other companies are moving forward, because kidney disease sucks. I got to tell you that. And it's a matter you got it, you're going to keep it. It ain't going to go away. All right, we need things like this. All right. And we need more funding to help it. So that's one of the ways we're working. National Kidney Foundation, American Association of Kidney Patients, Kidney Solutions, anybody that we can get our hands on, we talk about this kind of thing. Fund us. We can find, and can you imagine how good a deal this would be, not only for the patient, but for the industry, because it would reduce cost. It is too expensive to have kidney disease, way too expensive.
Well, that's right. I mean, you point out a really good point. The cost of dialysis is around $90,000 to $100,000 per year, and the health needs for someone on dialysis are also high. There is a substantial cost. If you can start to decrease by a few percent, let alone 50%, the number of individuals who are going on dialysis, you substantially improve their quality of life. You improve, through a butterfly effect, their family, their employer, their productivity. There's so many benefits to helping individuals slow the progression of their disease. So we hope we can be a part of that redefining that's occurring in a space where there is just very few therapeutic options. Blood pressure lowering and in the case of diabetes, sugar management.
Yeah, and steroids and stuff like that. And then other, that's the most important thing in my mind. This is not about kidney disease. This is about people, all right? People that are just constantly tormented by this disease. Yeah. And nobody looks at a person and can figure out whether they have kidney disease or not. It's impossible to know if you have kidney disease, all right? And
that's right.
It eats you up from the inside out. I'm not telling you things you don't know already, but you're onto something here, and I want you to drive hard on it. I really encourage you to do that.
Yeah, we are, and we have a dedicated team that's very skilled at developing drugs and moving things forward. So hopefully, on behalf of all individuals who have this need, we can bring something to market sooner.
The concept of treatment versus cure always comes to mind when you talk about kidney disease. Every kidney disease patient's not looking for a treatment, they're looking for a cure. And that's expectable. I mean, you understand that from the concept of being sick all the time with a disease process that's never going to go away. And so we do talk cure, but when you talk about slowing down, that's kind of it's a tough thing to explain. It doesn't stop it, it slows it so that your body can adjust better to the disease process itself. Is that correct?
That's right. If you look at medicine, the tools available that cure really are antibiotics that stop a bacterial infection, or surgeries that remove a cancer. But beyond that, true cures that remove the disease and the future harm, there aren't a lot of cures.
There's virtually none.
Everyone would love one, absolutely.
Right.
So for our therapy, yes, we call it a treatment. There is room for hope. There are about a dozen studies in a very nice Nature review that was written by Dr. Johnson and his team, to talk about the studies in this space that have succeeded. So using this approach, lowering uric acid, turning off the enzyme in chronic kidney disease, which is a wide spectrum of individuals with various diseases that started, but also in diabetic nephropathy. There is a study in polycystic kidney disease that shows that if you treat an individual who has progressing kidney disease for a year or two, you can stop the progression. So the progression, using the measure of glomerular filtration rate, so the measure of how well your kidney is filtering, is better after that treatment period. So for example, if you were a mid-stage 2 patient or a stage 3 patient, and you were to start a therapy that's a xanthine oxidase inhibitor, the best evidence that we have, and the reason for hope, suggests that you can, for every year of treatment, delay the progression, which means you delay, you push off
interventions,
end-stage kidney failure or the need for dialysis or transplantation. In an environment where there are no therapies to even slow progression, or very few, this has the opportunity to redefine how the disease progresses. So while it's not a cure, if you could today stop your progression, that's a huge,
it's a huge
advancement.
Yeah.
And so, everyone would like a cure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to bring that up because that's what I wanted, and I've wanted it for 50 years. All right, so the whole point here is this is a medication, or an attempt to provide a medication that slows, and slowing a progress of a disease is beneficial regardless.
Yeah.
It's not termed in the amount of time that it does it, because it's going to be different for different folks, but the ability to slow something down gives you time to react and adjust, and that's the most important part of it. All these treatments vary. Kidney disease, as you well know, you're looking at PKD, and there are volumes of kidney diseases, and FSGS is one of them, and IgA, and minimal change. I mean, you name them. There are a multitude of disease processes, but you focused in here on PKD, and you're getting results. That's what we need. We need those results. Good results.
Yeah, and I think this raises a very interesting point. We do know that there's an association with progressing kidney disease and increasing uric acid levels, but what really has not been recognized, and we're pioneering the understanding of this with our collaborators across a number of major universities in the US and Canada and Europe, is the understanding that there are individuals who express high amounts of xanthine oxidase as a part of their disease. And when that happens in association with IgA nephropathy or focal segmental
FSGS.
glomerular sclerosis or ADPKD or diabetic nephropathy, there is a common path that seems to be occurring. As the kidney is injured, it starts to overexpress the xanthine oxidase enzyme. This tends to act like an accelerant in the tissue of the kidney, but also to the cardiovascular system. And in many cases, cardiovascular disease that accompanies kidney disease is also a major symptom, driven by xanthine oxidase, driven by uric acid. And so we believe that the inhibition of this enzyme can be more broadly applicable to many of these diseases. And in fact, you tweaked my curiosity with the focal FGS.
Oh yeah, come
question
to me. You want to
because-
talk FGS? We can do that. Trust me.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about the disease, but I do know that there is an association, a well-reported association with uric acid. I think these kinds of conversations are always enriching because you start to look at these diseases and again, you start to recognize a pattern where you may be able to benefit. And so as we go forward, we'll certainly keep an eye on
FSGS.
on FSGS because
I look back and, I can do that now at 73 years old. I get to look back. Nobody can stop me from doing it. But I can tell you that there has got to be a connection. Now that this really got me interested when I started talking to you about it, but reading about it, and I've never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? I've read just multitude of articles and been exposed to tons of people that have been in the space looking for something to make it work. But I can tell you, I have had elevated uric acid my whole life.
Yeah.
From day one, from 1970 right on through transplant in 87 to now. I take allopurinol. I've taken allopurinol for 35 years.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think you're I'm going to just say this real quick. I think you're on to something.
We believe that too, and we certainly think we can change millions of people's lives around the globe. And
I just have no doubt. There's so many different kinds of therapies, and there's so many different kinds of diseases. When you can hone in, on something like this, really, really get down. Well, I call it in the FSGS world, it's the podocyte world, right down in the cellular level. When you can isolate something like this, and you don't know why it's happening, maybe you do somewhat, but when you identify it, it must give you a real big chill run down your back, right?
Absolutely. That really is the challenge, is to understand what factors are driving a disease and making it worse. And once you understand that, you can then start to develop a solution for the problem. But gaining that understanding with your collaborators and through additional research really is the key. And so, much of that research happens at universities. A lot of it happens at companies like ours, where we work with academic centers to ask very specific questions and really kind of nail down the mechanism of injury that's occurring. And that gives us the power to then develop therapies to help people. There are also very interesting discoveries happening in the kidney disease space, but also in the cardiovascular space that are based on our increasing understanding of genetics. I'm aware of a couple of very key discoveries that suggest that there are certain individuals who have a genetic disposition that enhances the expression of xanthine oxidase and enhances uric acid and makes them more susceptible to diseases. Those aren't published yet, but very promising discoveries that give us even more understanding of people at greatest risk and at greatest harm. And of course, because we're developing a late stage therapy, we've got the opportunity to apply that tool specifically to those individuals, personalize their medicine, if you will,
Yes.
and maybe head off, like you said, the early ravages of a disease that lead to an irreversible state. So, yeah, very promising work in the future. There's lots of really good work happening with respect to polycystic kidney disease and inflammation, and cystic fibrosis factors and other areas where we're seeing a lot of information and a lot of knowledge come together to suggest that there's ways to help.
Well, I'm telling you, I can't say this enough. There's appreciation from the community. I'm speaking for myself, but I know others are in this thing, that there's a willingness to provide any information that you would need, although it would be, not scientifically stable, but having patients getting involved in this kind of thing is very important. And I haven't looked at a lot of the stuff that you're doing, but there are a lot of us out here that are more than willing to stand up and work with you. All right, as patients.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, and I would say, as I have a few minutes now to think about your question about what individuals can do. I'm not sure if the Diabetes Foundation has a directory, but the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation does have a directory. It's fantastic. My advice, my recommendation is, register with their registry. They provide you with a lot of information about how to stay healthy, about what's coming up in terms of new discoveries, about clinical trials, and of course, to get drugs approved and to get them to market most efficiently, those clinical trials are really key. And if you're an individual with stage 2, 3, 4 polycystic kidney disease, and there's testing going on, these clinical trials are key. One of the big factors that slows their progression is recruitment. So a healthy registry with the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation creates a scenario where you can hear about studies. The choice to participate in studies is yours, of course, but that is a key cog in the wheel.
Sure.
To make things go faster, to get help for everybody.
The National NEPHCURE, NEPHCURE International, we have been a member of that for 25 years. They are very keyed into FSGS, and that's what they were focusing on early on, and still are. And they have a registry, all right. But anytime a patient, and the people that are listening, anytime you can join an organization, it's good to do, because you get tuned into everything that's going on. And like your company being involved with AAKP and the polycystic kidney disease community, that's very, very important, because a lot of people get their information on a level, not a scientific level, but on a human level through these organizations. So, I'm sure going to pass your name along, I guarantee you. In your company's name along. It's just amazing. I think this is great research, and it's founded. I mean, it's solid, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of progress.
Yeah, we look forward to helping many people with this disease and changing their lives.
When you get down to it, it's all about the people, isn't it?
That's all it's about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to kind of, I could go on all day, and I can't, but I would. But here's the deal. Do you have anything that you want to say? And this is my show, so you can say whatever you want to about this, all right? You don't have to hold back. What is it that you would say to the audience for just what do you want to finalize this whole thing with? Is there anything in your mind that you want to say?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I would say this. If you're someone with a disease that's progressing, advocate for yourself, advocate with your local representatives, advocate with the foundations that are working on your behalf, and get involved. That involvement is the communication that's necessary to really help every individual with a progressing kidney disease or a progressing disease get the benefit that's there. There's a lot of smart people. There's a lot of potential discoveries and things that can change people's lives in a positive, beneficial way. Your involvement is key, because in your silence, that's interpreted as disinterest.
That's
So
correct.
Get involved on every level. It's critically important.
Wow. I'm just at a loss for words here, because I want to do more with this, and I'm going to be contacting you later on after this goes on. I want to keep touch with you and Rob. This is a fantastic approach to this whole process. And trust me, I've done DOD. I've done a lot of, studies. I've done a lot of work in the field as a peer reviewer. I know where research is going, and I can tell you, you guys got a nice leg up. All right, you got your leg out of the mud, and you're starting down the road, and that's what we need. I want to thank you for coming on. It's wonderful to have you on. I appreciate it. Probably have you back if you want to.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Kent. It's great to talk kidney disease and kidney therapies, because it really is a life-changing opportunity. I think the opportunity to speak to your audience is important, and I'd be pleased to speak with you again in the future, and happy to speak offline as well.
Yeah, we got a support group I'm going to nail you with, and I have a good friend by the name of James Myers who has a radio show. I'm going to encourage him to give you a call. James Myers, Myers, and I say that in love, because he's a very, very dear friend, and he has PKD.
Brilliant.
All right, and all of his family died from it. All right, he's probably the lone ranger in the family now. All right, and he's been transplanted, but he's the kind of guy I want you to get to know, and I want you to be on his show too, and we'll arrange that.
We'd relish the opportunity.
All right. Okay, folks, listen. There's just way too much to try to summate here. I want you to go to XORTX, and that's Therapeutics. Look it up do a search for it, and for goodness sake, read up about this. This is a really particularly sound program going on. I'm basing my shoes on this deal. Let's work with them. I'm going to also let you know that donor population, the living donor population, is alive out there. And if you're interested in becoming a living donor, I want you to call me at Kidney Solutions. That's kidneysolutions.org. And the phone number is 830-285-2140. 830-285-2140. Let's talk about giving somebody life. You only need one kidney. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people out there, including my brother, who've done well after giving a kidney for 35 years or better. So step up. We'll give you all the information you need so you can make a confirmed choice. All right? I'm going to let you go. And please listen to this and subscribe to it and spread it throughout the kidney world. And until I see you again, keep breathing.